family. Welcome to this episode of Coda Country Chats. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My special guest that is joining us on this episode is Lilly Moss. How are you today, Lilly?
I'm fantastic. So excited to be here.
I'm so appreciative that you are able to hop on this call and tell me all about your new album that you just released. So let's dive right into it. Back on November 15th, you released your debut album, Meet Me on Broadway. Tell
Mhm.
me about some of the most amazing points of releasing this album.
Yeah, so right from the start, it was a whirlwind experience. It was right at the beginning of January. I'm a full-time college student, but we were able to write and record an album all within like the first 3 months of the year, which was awesome. Not
That is
entirely
awesome.
something I was expecting, but it was so much fun, and I've learned so much from it when it comes to like studio recording, writing songs. And then even from releasing it, like I was so excited to release it, to get it out there, and then learning about all the like the statistics and stuff that goes into it. So the whole experience was a learning experience, but it was also so much fun.
Yeah. Well, so 3 months. Tell me, did you have a lot of collaborators, as far as writing goes with this? I would love to know more about the writing process for the songs that you selected.
Mhm.
And we can dive into some individually too, because I want to hear specifics on some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me who else helped you with this project?
Yeah, so my producer is Dan Malsh. He was the one that kind of did all the audio, the mixing, very much had creative input here and there. But a lot of my songwriting was with Johnny Nova. He kind of guided me with my lyrics and the phrasing of some stuff and um, the kind of song that should be built based off of the melodies that Dan gives us. So they were truly the dream team. We did it together and it came out awesome. And I don't think I could have done it without them at all.
Wow. It's great to hear that you found like a set of people whose ideas and whose kind of tastes are similar to what yours are. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you find such a wonderful dream team?
Yeah. So we got put into connection with Dan from a friend of ours, and he lived right around the corner and we had no clue about it. So we were like, wow, this is insane. Like, how have we not known you were here all this time? And so we got in connection with Dan. We went and met with Dan. I played a couple songs for the first time. He was like, okay, like I like these. And so from the beginning, it was the first couple songs with just Dan. And then once the album started to really become an idea and become a possibility, that's when he brought in Johnny Nova and Dan introduced us to Johnny Nova.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit. One of the focus tracks about from the album is Love Me Not.
Uh-huh.
Kind of that like, situationship song, if you will. Tell me a little bit and tell the listeners a little bit about that one.
Yeah. So Love Me Not is one of the songs on the album that's super personal to me. I always say that there's some songs that I write that are completely made up from like creative ideas. And then there's songs that obviously stem from real life scenarios.
Mhm.
This was one song that was like a real life scenario, came from my heart and was a feeling that I went through where I felt I was stuck in a relationship and was essentially begging the other person to leave because I didn't have the courage to do it to myself. So this song is for people that feel that they're in the same situation, that know they need to leave for the better of themselves, maybe for the better of the relationship, and just need kind of courage, whether it's telling the other person to take that step or giving the courage for them to take it themselves. Um, that's what this song was for.
That's really amazing, though. Honestly, hearing the backstory of it, it's nice to know. I'm glad you told me that too, because it's like knowing that that's such a personal song to you, and about some of your experiences really just kind of opens my eyes a little bit to
Yeah.
it. Listening to it, I'm like, wow, it really resonates. It really hits home.
Yeah.
Do you have another song on the album like that kind of hits that like personal or like tugs at the heartstrings or anything like that from your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that we were talking about earlier was Cupid's a Hell of a Shot. That
Yeah.
that one's one of my favorites. I'm a slow song junkie, so like I love the upbeat songs, but the slow songs will always put me in my
Mhm.
feelings. So this Cupid's a Hell of a Shot is another one of those songs that's you walk in and your man is taking home another girl and you're kind of like what happened? Like I thought we had something. I thought we
Yeah.
were going strong. And so Cupid's a Hell of a Shot is for the people that realize that maybe they weren't their girl and maybe that they weren't for them, but you got to find a reason why. And maybe Cupid's just an interesting shot, not a great shot. And you got to blame it on that and nothing else. You gotta keep moving. So, Cupid is a fun play on a real life scenario, but it's one of my favorites.
And I tell you, okay, I have two little takeaways from that. That was one of my favorite titles to see like on the track list because I was like, oh, that's interesting. And that's why it pulled me in to listen to it. And I told you like I really love the vibe of that song too. But yeah, title is like one of my favorites. It was very eye catching. It was like one of those I just had to hear. But I'm glad that you said something about how sometimes you just have to blame it on Cupid. Like it's nothing that you did, it's nothing that really was based on you or the situation. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw, Like,
Yeah,
you just get one of those partners that's just not not not
yeah,
not for you that day, not for you that minute. And sometimes that definitely works out for the best, right?
yeah, yeah, 100.
And let's talk about Meet Me on Broadway, okay? And I'm glad that you chose this as like the title track because it really does set up the album, I would say. So let's talk a little bit about that one, a little bit about the inspiration for that one, and then I'd also love to know. I'll come back and ask the question. Let's hear about those two first, and then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Meet Me on Broadway was actually the first song that I wrote for the album. Um, I first I don't know how I did it. Sometimes songwriting works like that, where you can sit down and you write a song, and I get lucky, and Dan and Johnny doesn't have anything to critique. But this one of those songs, and it really did set up the album because we came in so strong with into the studio with such a great first song that you're like, okay, we have to make everything so much better than this one. So Meet Me on Broadway, I love Nashville. I've been to Nashville 4 times now, and every time it gets harder to leave because as a music lover, where else would you rather be?
Right.
In Nashville, yeah, in Nashville, you have artists everywhere singing love song. In one bar, you have someone singing a love song, in the other one, you got someone singing a heartbreak song.
Hmm.
So it's full of emotions, and every time you go, it's just amazing. So Meet Me on Broadway, I wanted to kind of captivate all those emotions and all those feelings into one song and kind of give the listener the feeling of being on Broadway, even though they're not there and they might be at home.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that did answer my question because I was gonna ask, did you write this one and then everything else followed suit? So I'm glad that you said that you wrote the song first because I kind of hear the influence of Meet Me on Broadway and
Mhm.
all of those emotions, like you were just talking about, in your other writing. Like I
Yeah,
think that was genius because it
yeah.
really does just kind of encapsulate exactly the picture that you're bringing to the album that you're setting up for the collection. Okay, so in knowing a little bit more about that song, um, let's think. Okay, on the album, do you think there's any other song that like doesn't fit that mold? That like is one of those like standouts? Like, oh, this is different. Do you have any song like that on the album?
Um, maybe Love Me Loudly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one's kind of it's a different in a sense. It started off, it went through many processes of writing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a simpler song,
Mm-hmm.
but the story in it is very loud. So that's I it's one of those songs that you don't say as much, but it tells a story.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of words to the songs, but Love Me Loudly, it's exactly what it sounds like. You just want somebody to own you and own your relationship and tell the world. So I
Yeah.
think that song, it doesn't say much, but it has a huge impact and a big story to tell. So
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up that song because Love Me Loudly is, like you said, kind of a simple-ish concept, but it
Mhm.
says so much.
Yeah,
And but I hear what you're saying now, and knowing the sound and the lyrics and everything of Meet Me on Broadway versus Love Me Loudly. They're like
Yeah.
two separate ideas, right? Two separate, yeah. I love that. Okay. I'm so glad that you told me all of that. Okay, I'm gonna go back because I
Okay.
just remembered that you said this. You said that you visited Nashville 4 times now.
Mhm.
Are you at home? Where are you? Tell me where. Tell me where you're located.
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania right now,
Yes.
so
Yes.
far from Nashville. I'm at school. I go to
Mhm.
Lafayette College. Uh,
Cool.
so I'm currently in the library in the midst of finals week.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Busy, busy time.
Oh, very. So yeah, this is where I'm located. Sometimes I'll do my songwriting here. A lot of my songs from the album I wrote at home or in the studio. But there are like music practice rooms that just have a simple piano and they're soundproof. And every time I need to vent or I just want to sing a little bit, I'll go to those practice rooms and I'll either spit out a couple songs or I'll just scream because nobody can hear me.
Are are you a music major or are you majoring in something else?
No, I'm a government and law major.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what made you decide okay, so I have this conversation a couple times with different guests. What made you decide to do a degree in government stuff
Mhm.
and then also pursue music? What made you decide to try to do the both thing?
Yeah, so one of the main factors is the college that I'm particularly at, their music program is more like classical
Mhm.
music theory based,
Yeah.
which isn't necessarily what I'm singing or producing.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I
So,
totally get that. Mhm.
I also had a huge passion for government and law kind of starting my junior year of high
Mhm.
school. So it was originally an idea before the music career and everything kind of picked up. It's also really important
No.
to me to have two options. So I have my music career, I have my album just released, and hoping to write more songs and release more music, and hoping that that can help me support myself for the rest of my life. But in the event that that doesn't happen, I want to have something else, a plan B. And having my passion for government law, it just feels right to do it that way.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I applaud you for that because it's sometimes I feel like people come into it with a very narrow mindset of like this is it or nothing. And I feel like I'm the big believer in both. You can do
Yeah.
both. You can do all the things that you want to do and you will make time for the things that you want to make time for. And I think you're doing an excellent job with killing it with the album, killing it on finals week, and still having time to sit down with somebody like me and talk
Thank
all
you.
about that. So
Thank,
thank you.
thank
Okay, so after finals week, after the release of the album, tell me, what do you think is next for Lilly Moss? What's going on?
Yeah, so I already have so many ideas that I'm crossing my fingers that I get to chase and pursue. I
Mhm.
mean, one of my biggest shows coming up in January on the 11th, I have my first headline ticketed show. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But then we also have ideas for music coming out next year. Um, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say yet. So they're still in the works, still just ideas at the moment. But I can't wait to get back in the studio and get to writing again. I have so many ideas and so many things written down. So I'm kind of just seeing where the waves take me at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your headlining show. Where is it? And you said January 11th. Tell
Yeah.
me, yeah, can we help? Can we buy tickets? Where are we going? What are we
Yeah.
doing?
So it is in Philadelphia,
Yay.
PA. Place called 118 North Wayne. Um, it's a super cool
Mhm.
event. The tickets are only $10. So we're hoping to get a crowd. But it's gonna be super exciting. We have an opener and everything. So it's gonna be a great night. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's gonna be so awesome.
Yeah.
Not like directly in your hometown, but it still kind of feels like a
Yeah.
hometown show, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel like it's gonna rock the rails. So let's talk a little bit about your beginning life, hometown life, growing up in Pennsylvania, and you have a very um heartfelt, heartwarming story to tell about your life. So I'd love for you to to go through it with the listeners and just let them know exactly who you are and exactly what you've been through, because
Yeah.
you are so resilient. I can't wait to hear all about that.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with leukemia when I was 3 years old, and I battled and beat it when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So it was 2 years of treatment, and December 2nd, I was officially 14 years cured. So
Yay.
yeah. So every year we're so grateful for another year of good health. But it really just reminds me and my family not to take any moment, any day, any hour really for granted. I think that's why my family is so supportive of my music career, because they know it's a dream of mine. They know I love to do it. And I think we just take the opportunities we're given and see where they go and see what can happen. And we've had so much fun. Not just me, but my parents love this journey, and I'm happy to have them along with me. So yeah.
Seize the moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, okay. And so, 3 to 5 is kind of that area of life when you, a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah.
You're still learning how to like talk and form sentences, and you're still like, figuring out social cues and all this kind of stuff. So, from your time between the ages of 3 and 5 in the hospitals going through treatment, do you have specific memories of music enriching your life, enriching the portions of your life
Mhm.
when maybe you were like at your deepest or at your darkest? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was kind of an age range where I don't have too many memories about it,
Yeah.
which I don't know if is a good or bad thing.
I was
Uh,
gonna say it's probably not a bad thing. Some of that
yeah,
stuff's probably not very comfortable, and
yeah,
so
no,
yeah.
some glimpses here and there, but most of the memories that I have are based from like videos or photos that my parents have taken. And the big one that always jumps out to either me or my parents is one of me dancing and singing. I believe it was either Taylor Swift or Hannah Montana, in like
Oh,
Montana nightgown, and like jumping up and down and singing like on my hospital bed. So it was just, oh, music was always my comfort. It was always a way to have some fun. You don't really need to go anywhere to listen to music or do anything. So we were able to bring that joy and something that I loved into such a confined, white walled space. So yeah.
I love hearing that story though, because it really is, music is such a powerful thing, and
Mhm.
now to see you doing it and also going to school and just giving it your all no matter what you're trying to accomplish. It
Mhm.
really is such a testimony to how strong you are and how resilient you are. So, listeners out there, follow along with Lilly Moss. I think, yeah, just hearing that story in itself is just so brave. I'm, yeah, so glad you shared that today. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
So, well, okay, and then after you battled and received treatment, recovered, I'm assuming you went like to school and did all the things to get you into college.
Mhm.
Um, when did you decide that country music was going to be it for you? Like, when did you decide that was going to be your thing?
Yeah. So, well, as I just mentioned, my love for music kind of started when I was younger. I
Mhm.
started um, taking voice lessons and kind of thinking about it more professionally when I was in sixth grade. But it wasn't until my junior year of high school that
Mhm.
I stepped on a stage for the first time. Um,
Wow.
my family, we've always had kind of a widespread of music genre that we listen to. We never were one. Um, but I think that the style and the way that my voice doesn't sound exactly like any kind of country music artist out there, um, is kind of what makes me stand out in that genre along with my songs. So I think it's a genre that I love to be in. I love the style of it. I love the story and the everything that goes into country music, because I feel like country music is all from the heart no matter what the song is about. um and that's one of the things that I love about it. So it's just kind of where I knew I wanted to be. Yeah, I don't really think I could have pictured myself in any other genre. I don't think I'm pop enough to be a pop girly or anything like that. So, uh, country is just where I landed, and I think I feel like it's right.
I love that. Well, okay, and you talked a little bit about some of your influences like Hannah Montana and Taylor Swift, but you just also said like you listen to a wide range of music. Who do you think attribute as your musical influences? Because like you said, I feel like your songwriting is very country. Your voice is also country, but I hear a little bit of extra stuff, extra pizzazz, extra something. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
It's lovely. I love it. So tell me about those influences.
Yeah, so I think one of my biggest influences growing up, I was an Adele lover. I still am an Adele lover.
Period. Yes.
Not. But I first, like, believe it was like technically live performance. I was probably in like elementary school, and it was like we have these things called like Barnes and Nobles nights, and basically it's like a talent show, but it's at Barnes and Nobles. And
Cool.
I got up there in like fourth or fifth grade and just spit out an Adele song, like for the
Oh,
very first time that I sang.
cool.
So I think like I wanted to have the empowerment of Adele. Like her songs are so strong, and she like the voice that she has, the songs that she writes, they're all emotional and they're all strong. And I think that's who I kind of wanted to like embody, but maybe in a country sense, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, so like when I think about songwriting, I have so many influences, Adele being one of them, from her strong, like emotional, powerful songs. I also love Jason Isbell, who's a
Yes.
Americana country songwriter. Um, and he's freaking awesome. All of his songs are straight poetry. And I
Mm-hmm.
love poetry. I love writing poetry. And then obviously I love songwriting, which is basically poetry.
Yeah.
So I think my influences from all these different genres help to create like who I am as an artist, because it's like I'm a country artist, but I'm not fully a country artist because I grew up listening to so much. So all the impacts from different genres help to create who I am as an artist.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you told me about Adele because
Yeah.
that was kind of where I was going with that. And then I was like, oh, wait, I absolutely hear Adele now.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But I also hear what you're saying about Jason Isbell too, because like, um, there's a lot of poetry in the lyrics that you sing. I hear a lot of that as well. I think you have kind of taken that perfect blend of storytelling meets lyricism meets awesome melody meets great production in
Mhm.
the album. I really think that that is just such a little baby love child of music that's happening right there between Jason Isbell and Adele in you. I think that's so cool that you tell me that. Oh my goodness. Okay, and so I love to ask this question every now and then too. Knowing who you grew up listening to, who still influences your sound. I would love to know who is at the top of your playlist right now. I don't know if you did your Spotify rap yesterday or not. But yeah, who's who's in your top?
So the reason why I laugh is because Spotify Wrapped, my number one song happens to be my sleep music. So that's why I laughed. Like my um so definitely that, but one of my top artists right now, I was just singing at a local event called the Jingle Jam, which kind of introduces the Eastern PA to um upcoming rising country artists.
Cool.
And so I was listening to a girl named Cassie Ashton on stage, and she was like insane. And I literally left there literally on the drive home. It's like a 2-minute drive from where it was to Lafayette. So I was like spitting in all the songs that I just heard. I was like, I need to hear each one before I get back. And
Yeah.
so, like since then they've just been on like on repeat. And I have like I could say I probably have a good chunk of her songs already memorized. I recently just did one of her songs at my last show, her Christmas song, Your Angel. Um
Ooh.
she's,
Mhm.
she's awesome. She's amazing and her songs are so much fun.
Her song called Crazy is such a
Oh my
vibe.
god.
Cause
I
like
love I love that song.
those lyrics speak truth for real. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That is so cool.
There's
No, I'm
always
glad.
oh
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
There's always songs that I always listen to, and I'm like, "Ooh, I wish I wrote this song." And, like,
Yes.
"All Crazy" was, like, one of them. I was like, "Ooh, like, I wish that I wrote this song." Like, I could fully embody every lyric that was written. Um, I
Yeah.
just that song so much.
So let's go there. I want to know, off the top of your head, and this may be putting you on the spot, what are some other songs that you wish you wrote? Because yeah, I've got a list of those too, I think.
Ooh, definitely that one.
hmm
I love "If We Were Vampires" by Jason Isbell. Um,
Ooh, yeah.
that was one of my first songs that introduced me to him, which I think is kinda normal because that's, like, his most popular song.
Yeah.
Um, Billie Eilish songs. I
hmm
love Billie Eilish. All of her songs I can, like, relate to in one sense or another.
Her
Um,
writing is great too. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, I don't know specific songs off the top of my head, but I can always pin an artist. I was like, I know which artist I can sing and be like crying, like, I know this is me, this is who I am, and, like,
Yes.
somebody else's song. But, like, Adele's another big one. Um,
Hmm.
all of her songs, like, whatever situation you're going through, there's probably an Adele song that's written about it. So, um,
Yes. Amen. She's got a
yeah,
way with words for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, but
For sure. For sure.
there's
Yeah.
always songs here and there that I'll be like, "Ooh, I wish I wrote this one." I guess I have to start writing them down now, but,
Mhm.
Called Crazy was one of them that I was thinking about the other day. I was like, "Ooh, I really wish I had written this song." So,
Yeah. I think I go through periods of like an artist who I love and like I always kind of I don't want to say forget because I don't forget about her. But like there are times when I'll go through and listen to Kelsey Ballerini and her albums, Patterns. Um and then like the last album she had before that too and the one before that, like there are songs on there that aren't like the title tracks, that aren't like the bangers that I'm
mhm.
like, dang, I wish I wrote that song. And like they're so underrated. And I'm sure you have artists and stuff like that too where you go through their catalog and you're like, oh, I love this so much, and no one knows this song. How
Nobody
is that possible?
yeah, yeah. I always feel like I don't know what it is, but I always feel like I discover a song and I'm, like, enjoying it just to myself for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it, like, blows up somewhere and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this song," and I was like, "Oh, but I knew this song." Like, it's stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. It's like, let
Yeah.
me have my song, let me have my thing, you know? Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I know exactly what you mean, girl.
Yeah.
Lily, this has been an awesome chat today. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that this like worked out in our crazy schedules.
Yeah.
I'm wishing you all the luck in the world for
Thank
finals
you.
this week.
Thank you so
Um, before we hop off the call, two things. One, if you will, shout out your social media handles,
much.
website, all the stuff so my listeners can find you.
Mhm. My Instagram, you can follow me at lilymoss.music. Pretty much everything else, you can kind of just type up Lilly Moss and you'll find that. I'm pretty sure they're all similarly to lilymoss.music. YouTube, lilymoss.music, all streaming platforms, just Lilly Moss. So you can find me on pretty much everything, whatever streaming platform you listen to, whatever social media you use, I'm on there. So,
Yeah. And then do you have anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to or anything else that you'd like to promote today before we hop off?
yeah, I mean, I'm always and can't tell them enough. I'm grateful for my parents and their support and my sister as well.
Mhm.
They helped me through this crazy journey and are my rock and get me through it. So, but also a thank you to my incredible team. This album and this PR team, it's been incredible. And the outcome, I think we're almost at 500,000 streams. So I
Yes.
without my parents, without my team, without my sister. So I'm grateful for everybody, every one of them.
Well, yay. That's amazing. I'm so glad that you took time to talk with me today.
Yeah.
Listeners out there, make sure that you go follow Lilly Moss, stream her album Meet Me on Broadway right now, right after you finish this podcast episode. And you heard all about it here with me, Leigh, and Coda Country. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.